back, everybody. It's another HJC Podcast. We've had the Adidas jerseys revealed, and now it's time to go through them with some of our HJC writers. I'm Ryan, your blog admin and Saturday poster, and joining me is TC.
Hey, I'm TC, the Friday writer, coming to you from Atlanta, Georgia.
And Steve.
It's Steve, Sunday writer, coming from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Jets 96.
Hey, it's Jets, Monday writer, coming at you live from Charlottetown, PEI.
And Brendan.
What's up, guys? This is Brendan, Thursday writer, also from Pittsburgh.
All right, good stuff. We're going to start with the Atlantic Division and kick it off with the Montreal Canadiens, who kept their laces and added a little bit of collar trim. TC, why don't you give us your thoughts on the Canadiens, then we'll go to Steve, Jets, and Brendan. TC, start us off.
Overall, I'd say I'm glad that they didn't try to shake things up too much. I do think that the laced collars are a completely useless feature on this style of jersey. They're only there for decoration. Like, at least with the Reebok edge designs, it sort of made sense, but they're literally just sitting on top of the jersey. And I think the biggest crime about this jersey is the elimination of the throwback sweater colors. I think that was a great touch that Montreal had that they've now lost.
Good point. Go ahead, Steve.
It's like I said in the last podcast, I hate those collars, and I was praying that they would have done something to incorporate laces with them, but they just didn't. It's like they just threw them on there. Like, they don't even look like they were purposely put on. It's just like, oh, we forgot to add laces, let's just sew them right on. But can anyone tell what it says on the inside of their collar?
It's in French. I didn't see a tweet what it's about.
It's their team motto.
What's their team motto? I honestly don't know it.
Our history is built on cheating? Backstory to that comment, in case anybody didn't know, the Montreal Canadiens, up until I think it was the mid-'60s, were automatically just given the best French-Canadian prospect, and that third, Henri Richard, John Beliveau, etc. So, as a Leafs fan, yeah, they cheated.
And does everybody remember our non-Ryan podcast where we were talking about having Reese Richard's head on the Laval Rockets jersey?
Oh, no.
Still think that would have been a good idea. Just saying.
Jets, thoughts on the Habs? Or their jerseys?
Overall, the collars to me remind me a lot of the CCM collars, whereas some of them look, okay, but a team like Montreal or Chicago, it takes away from it. It will look dated in 5 or 6 years, but they didn't really change much, and I think that their jerseys as a whole went well to this template. The only thing that I do think they lost was that collar design, but the inclusion of the hanger effect is at least something.
Brendan?
I have to agree with a lot of everybody else's statements, and I do like the addition of the thin strip of blue, and I think the collar also would have looked better if they made that pentagon shape into white, and I think that for a lot of the cases. To me, the laces just look like they were thrown on below the collar. It doesn't look like it's part of the collar, and I wish they were integrated with the collar. It just looks like two separate entities to me, and I think that's my main gripe with it.
Well, I feel like the collars are going to come up a lot here.
Yeah. I also feel like I don't hate the laces as much as everybody else does, but it does still look awkward.
All right. Let's hammer out Detroit, everyone. TC, start us off. Thoughts on Detroit?
They've got a very basic but very classic uniform, and I think that sticking with it was the way to go. They're one of the most storied franchises, and I think their fans would have been up in arms if they'd made too many substantial changes to it.
Yeah, go ahead, Steve.
I agree. it's one of those classic designs that you just really can't touch. So the fact that they played it safe and just brought it over works well, and it basically doesn't even look like they changed templates at all. It just matches perfectly with it.
And Jets, same thing?
Yeah, I kind of wish that the Flying D that we got in the Stadium Series had made the transfer simply as a helmet logo or something. I think that actually would have gone well with the Adidas template. Again, similar to Chicago and Montreal, you can't expect much change from this team. And a part of me kind of wishes that they would, because the original 6 teams have a real opportunity to make some good modern-looking alternates with these classic jerseys. And I hope that in 2018-19 we'll get that from the likes of Chicago or Detroit.
I did read somewhere that maybe teams have already submitted alternates for 2018-19, but I think someone from Adidas said about 23 alternates. I can't confirm that, but I read that somewhere on a report.
I thought it was like 24 to 46. 24 to 26.
Yes, that's what I read. Yep.
I have a feeling we'd love if there were 46, though.
Yeah.
Just a side question. Which team, based on these jerseys, we'll get this out of the way, which team do you think needs the alternate the most?
Ottawa.
We know Ottawa's going to get a rebrand.
Yeah.
We're getting to Ottawa. Well, here we are. Let's do Ottawa. We're there now. I think a lot of us were expecting something nice, and we got what we got. TC, thoughts on the Ottawa jerseys?
I just think Ottawa has found a design that they, for some reason, enjoy wearing, even though it's like they've been wearing roughly the same design since the 90s, and while they've updated it a little bit, it still has the shades of the 90s, and they're just stuck in the past with that design. I think they really dropped the ball here. They should have gone with the rebrand with their alternate and the Winter Classic jersey from a couple of years ago being their home and away. I think it pays homage to the history of hockey in Ottawa, including the original Senators, and I think it's a much better look for them than the cartoonish Centurion.
See, this is the kind of thing that makes me bash my head against my computer sometimes, is when I see a jersey done like this. Is if they just copy what was a terrible template over onto a much new template. And for some reason, it just looks even worse on this than it did on Reebok. But I have a feeling that they only brought this over as like the start, and eventually they're working on a rebrand. I don't think they were just going to try and rush into a new uniform right away. So, I mean, that's my hope, and I hope they do go to the multi-stripe. I think that would be really neat to bring back. But, yeah, they really did drop the ball.
If we remember back to when Reebok did the rebrand, remember those cookie cutter jerseys and how many good teams lost their jerseys to that. This is a team making an active effort to transfer that template to a different. How hard would it have been to just say we want a template jersey? Adidas throws out there, one of the just a recolored version of a World Cup of hockey jersey, and that would have been that. I get that they wanted to keep this design to keep things sort of the same going into their rebrand in the future, but this jersey design was nothing special. The team was pretty mediocre during the years they wore it, except for this year. I don't get why they're so sentimental to it, but, the rebrand had better be worth it.
Now, see, I understand for them keeping this design if they're planning on rebranding in like a year or two. Because why would they want to redesign their jerseys and then do it again? In fact, I don't even think they can with the NHL rules as far as I'm aware. But a lot of people are calling the Senators some of the biggest losers of this. I don't think they're losers. They didn't lose anything. They just went from crap to pretty much the same crap. So I consider them more of a disappointment than I would a loser. And I think, as Steve said, I think they look worse because they kind of straightened out the arm stripes a little bit. Before they had if you'd even want to consider that an arm stripe. But before it was a bit curved, now it's just a straight block, and I think that's why they look a little bit more flat than they used to.
Yeah, certainly not inspired by what Ottawa gave us. Let's go to the Buffalo Sabres. TC, lead us off with your thoughts, what we saw from the Sabres so far.
I mean, the Sabres, it's one of those teams where, again, it's not a loss because it's pretty much the same thing, but it's kind of a letdown because I was really hoping for a return to the more royal blue instead of the navy, and a little bit more of a long shot, but I was kind of hoping for the silver to be eliminated. And frankly, I'm baffled by their continuing obsession with the numbers on the front. That is a design that I guess they like it because it's become their trademark, but other than that, I can't really see a reason to keep it.
I kind of have to agree with TC here. So, although I am glad they got rid of the unnecessary piping, the jersey does look a lot cleaner now, but at the same time it's boring. It's just as boring as it was before, even with the silver with it. And I really would have been nice to see them go back to the original colors. But as for the number here, not too impressed by it. It doesn't bother me at all. What bothers me is the white on the collar, on the front of the collar with the white laces. That's just where it all bothers me the most.
The thing about Buffalo is that this is a team that hasn't had a popular rebrand in their history. I think that the goat head we all we like because it's nostalgic. The Buffa slug, I think people have warmed up to in the past. It's still not great, but I think that people were way too hard on it at the time. And this is, I'm one of the few people who thinks that they should not return to their original look. At least with the royal blue, I don't mind it, but the thing that kills it is the silver. Especially on the white jersey, it kills the color balancing.
Yeah, with Buffalo, as I mentioned with Ottawa, I wouldn't consider them a loser, but a disappointment. So I've basically in my head lumped a lot of the teams into basically stayed the same. They're a loser, a winner, or a disappointment. I would put Buffalo in the winner, yet a disappointment, because they improved by losing the piping, and in large part, you can't see some of the gray. Like, it kind of just blends into the yellow, aside from that weird collar insert, which I agree should be blue. Or, for that matter, just make the collar all yellow instead of cutting it off halfway through. That's one of my biggest pet peeves from these Adidas jerseys. I hate those half collars. But I would consider Buffalo a winner by losing the piping and just cleaning up their look a little bit. Yet a disappointment because we were expecting royal blue and so much more than just the same thing without piping.
All right, good stuff there. We'll move on to the Boston Bruins. Not many changes here. TC, what do you think of what the Bruins showed us?
The Bruins, again, as an original six team, they really shouldn't mess with what's not broken. I do like the choice to eliminate the black outline from the name on the back. It's a cleaner look, and I think it's a lot easier to read in motion. The biggest surprise for me was the move away from the trademark yellow socks with the dark jersey, and it looks to be that they're going to a black jersey that'll match the arm striping. And, I'm not saying it's a bad move. I'm not saying it's a good move. It's just something that I was not expecting.
Yeah, I agree with TC there. I was really surprised that they got rid of the yellow socks, but I do like that they did get rid of that black outline. At first I didn't think I would like it, but it really, really is. So, otherwise, everything keeping it the same. And I'm not going to point out the obvious that I really don't like on it. So, what about you, Sean? Or Jeff, however you want to be called?
Either one's fine. My name's not a mystery or anything. the Bruins are a team that has adapted with change. They're a team that I kind of hoped would do something different, but these aren't bad jerseys. They won the cup in these jerseys. They're similar to what they wore in the '60s. They're popular. I get why they kept them there. I do like what they did with the names on the back. I just kind of wish that they'd move more towards eliminating the yoke and just going with sort of a blend of that '60s style with the '80s style. But again, that's sort of idealistic. Again, it's a decent jersey and it's a lot better than what a lot of us were thinking we were going to get.
See, I wasn't expecting too much change with Boston, and as everybody else has said, I completely agree with removing that black outline. I think it looks so much better without it. Even if the yellow and white kind of blend together, I think it still looks a lot better without it. And I think the removal of the yellow socks actually may have been one of the biggest surprises of the night because I don't think anybody was expecting that, considering Boston's history. I'll have to see if I like it on the ice, but speaking from a design standpoint, I guess that's sound. But I'm still hoping Boston goes back to like that 80s to late 90s design. That's my favorite one out of everything Boston's worn. And this design's starting to look almost a little bit dated to me. But I think at least they got the color right by making it all one solid color.
All right, great. Let's head down to Florida now, the state of Florida, and talk about the Tampa Bay Lightning. We've seen both a home and road jersey for them. So thoughts on the Lightning and what they've shown us?
Honestly, the template that I saw, the image that I saw and am currently looking at, they made the very unfortunate choice to put them right next to the Maple Leafs, and it took me a little bit to decide which one was which. Honestly, it's like, as far as jerseys go, it's not that bad. Like, it's a good, clean-cut looking jersey, but it's just so derivative that I can't really get excited about it. It's not a bad jersey, but it's not a great jersey.
Yeah, I think really the only improvement they had was getting rid of that Tampa Bay script on the white jersey. Other than that, it'll always look like a Maple Leafs knockoff. So, I'm sorry, Lightning fans. It's no offense to you, it's just they had a much, much better identity prior to this change.
It's weird that you say that the sort of the Ottawa Senators template was better, and I do partially agree with that. I didn't mind those jerseys. I thought they wore it the best. But yeah, these jerseys are good. I said that either Tampa Bay has to remove the script or put it on both, and they chose to remove it, and it adds a little more uniformity, and I'm glad to see that.
Yeah, I think Tampa Bay improved slightly by removing the laces because the Adidas laces are just really odd and awkward. And I think they got a little bit worse with the half collar, but I think they also improved by removing the script. I think that's been said a good bit. And a lot of people don't like Tampa Bay, and I think their jerseys, on their own, ignoring any comparisons, are pretty good. I mean, you can't really argue with a classic design, but they do have much more potential for something much better and much more unique than that.
All right, excellent. We move on now to the other Florida team, the Florida Panthers. And TC, lead us off here with a jersey that really didn't change too much.
Florida Panthers, I think the move to Adidas actually worked in their favor. The design that they had made last season translates really well to the Adidas template. It looks clean, it looks smooth. My biggest qualm with it is that the ridiculous cross upside down lacing. I've never been a fan of that style of lacing, and especially on this new collar where laces are completely superfluous. Although I will say it almost makes more sense to me than a regular tie-down collar, because at least with this, you know that it's fake and it serves no purpose.
I actually like this because, like TC said, it really does work well with this template. So, I really like how they have that little gold in the collar there. That really pops out. And the laces, I believe they're crossed because of the state's flag, if I'm correct reading back from it.
Yep, you're right.
Thank you. But overall, yeah, I think they were one of the winners, and one of the big takeaways from this is that their design actually looks really good on this. So.
Yeah, we've seen teams in the year prior to a brand switch make designs that sort of look weird at the time on the template, but it works well with the template that they're going into. And I think Florida's one of those cases. It looked great. I hope they don't change much for a while because they got a good look, and they don't need to just use a template like they did for so many years at Reebok.
Yeah, I mean, I've been a big fan of Florida's rebrand since the beginning. I like the logo a lot better than their busy 90s styled logo from before. The updated version of that logo is much better, and I kind of wish they'd put that somewhere else or put it onto an alternate. But sticking to this jersey, I think I've been a fan since the beginning, and I think it translated well to the Adidas template, as everybody else has said. I've also always been a fan of the shoulder numbers. I've never disliked those, as many others seem to. So I'm completely okay with that. The collar laces are a great touch, if you ask me, and the collar looks pretty good because they didn't go with the half and half. And I think the little pentagon might look better in blue, but it's not too bad as it is. So overall, I think Florida was a pretty good transition.
Okay, all right. And now we move on to the greatest team of all time, the center of the hockey universe, the team that everyone just wants to love but can't bring themselves to love them, the Toronto Maple Leafs.
The Rangers?
Go ahead, TC, with your thoughts on what we've seen from the Leafs.
The Leafs, again, another team, original six, they have actually done the most of their jerseys out of an original six team. Personally, I love the move back to the more detailed, realistic Leaf. I love that the little prongs stand for all of the Stanley Cups. And they stuck to a design that works. And, I really like the collar as it is with the blue front and the white in the back.
Yeah, I actually like this design. Although I'm not a big fan about how it's blue in the front and white in the back. I'd like to see the white all around. But then again, it does actually make the laces look like they serve a purpose on this jersey. But yeah, this was another team that also really benefited from the template. And I also like how they have the, what does that say? Pride, courage, and... Come on, Ryan, help me out.
Pride, courage, and honor.
Honor.
So it's honor, pride, and courage that they have written in there. See, I've always been a sucker for those little type of things, ever since Nashville started with the piano. So.
I mean, it's a really nice jersey. I'm not going to buy one personally. It looks the same as the Edge, and if I can get that for $70 and the roster's going to be the same, I'm not going to spend $250 on it. But it's nice. I'm glad the Leafs didn't, do anything drastic.
I mean, ever since the new Leafs jerseys came out, I've always hated the inconsistency of it. I wish they would just pick one of them and go with it, or somehow combine the two, or at least keep them the same thickness. And I still hate the half and half collar. That's not going to change anytime soon. But the Leafs pretty much have the same design from before, and it was still a pretty decent design, pretty solid design as before. So there's really not much to complain about with this one.
All right, excellent. And now calling in live, we have a caller from Long Island, New York. Go ahead, caller. You got 60 seconds to talk about the Atlantic Division.
All right, how's it going, guys? Phil here, Wednesday writer, calling in. Just got home from work, so it was great. So the Atlantic Division, I mean, nothing really stuck out besides the slight disappointment with Buffalo. Because not really much has changed in that division. I mean, the Bruins font changing is kind of a lateral move in my opinion. And then the Senators obviously disappointing. But it's not really much else.
All right, great. That's it. Thanks, caller. We appreciate that.
This is Leafs Talk Radio.
Anybody got any trades? Yeah, hi.
Call it into the fan 590 or whatever.
I just pulled up NHL 17 and I traded Freddie Anderson for Sidney Crosby. What do you think? Just want to get your thoughts. I'm going to hang up now.
I think when listeners thought they heard a caller from Long Island, they were disappointed it wasn't Arthur Staple.
Brian Burke's an idiot. If I were GM, I'd be doing a lot better. You know what we really need to bring back? That kid we had, Raycroft. I think we gave him a short time.
All right, and that's Leaf Talk.
Anyway.
Thanks for listening. We'll be right back covering the Metro Division.
It's here again, the HJC Open 2017. All may enter any concept of theirs that they so desire to compete against other artists. It's everyone for themselves as the biggest competition comes back for one more go-around. Make sure you have 4 different concepts ready to go, as you'll need a new one for each round you progress to. Will you use your best first round, or save the best for last? If you make it. You decide! It's the HJC Open 2017.
Welcome back to the HJC Adidas ADIZERO Podcast. Dumbest name for a jersey ever, but we're not covering that today. Maybe we will at the end. Anyways, we're covering the Metro Division now. And let's start with the Philadelphia Flyers, who, again, a team who didn't change too much. TC, go ahead. Start us off.
Flyers, I think, did a fantastic job of just sticking to what was working. Like, the Flyers, honestly, the bright orange, it's one of my favorites in my collection. And I think they were able to do a great job of keeping the white color all around with the black insert. That was a good way to move into the new system while still keeping a solid collar design.
Yeah, I gotta agree. I mean, I'm not a fan of Philadelphia, and I actually despise Philadelphia, but that's just being a Penguins fan. Sorry, no offense to any Flyers fans. I'm sure the feeling's mutual. But, yeah, I do notice, though, that, like, the sleeves, though, like, the striping on it seems more straight now. Because it kind of seemed like it used to be, like, arched more. But it just seems like it goes, like, straight line down and then just like curves right around it.
And good thing everyone can see what you're doing there with your arms, so that'll be really great on the podcast. Sorry, not to call you out there, Steve. I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah, well, you know what? Well, you guys know what I'm talking about, and everyone that's going to be listening to this is going to understand what I'm talking about. I'm doing it for my own benefit.
You better hope so.
He emotes. They get it from the emotion.
the feeling in your voice.
Okay, honestly.
Anyway.
Overall, it is pretty good. So, next.
I am one of the few people who I agree with TC on the color of this jersey. I just, it was nice for a couple of years for the Flyers to go back to their 70s jersey. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of them. They did all right. I'm never going to love these jerseys. So, credit where credit's due. They did a good job, but the design didn't blow me away.
I would give it a 0 out of 10. Terrible franchise. Just fold the team. And if you didn't realize it's coming from another Pens fan, I'm just kidding. And like Steve said, I'm sure the feeling's mutual for any Flyers fans out there. But being serious, the Flyers have a great design, I think. And it was good on them not to mess with it much. And as I've mentioned a lot of times, the collar, I think they did a good job there. The only 2 things I still don't like about it too much are the nameplate, and actually, I guess the second one isn't too bad, but having the numbers on the sleeves the same color as the jersey is a little bit interesting whenever it overlaps a little bit. I almost wonder if black numbers work better.
The first thing I noticed was that the striping was a little more edgy, if you will, as opposed to, or rigid is probably a better term, than the Reebok version. But overall, great job. They kept the collar fairly consistent despite the new collar system, which I absolutely hate. But other than that, they did a great job with it.
All right, fantastic. So we got 2, blow up the franchises for Philadelphia, and 3...
Make that 3, actually. I lived there for 2 years. Blow it up.
3 destructions of the Flyers. Very good. All right. We'll move on to the Washington Capitals again. Here's a team who didn't change much.
For me, the Capitals, I don't know. I'm just not a big fan of their sort of throwback rebranding. I think they missed a huge opportunity here. I would have loved to see the Weagle as the main crest. I think that's a great logo, even down to the use of the negative space to make the Capitol building. And I think, for what they have, they did a decent job. They had a jersey that sort of was designed around the edge system in the full-length yoke. And I think they were able to move that over to the ADIZERO system fairly well.
I'll be honest, this is my second least favorite team. And I never actually really liked their Reebok style jersey. And I was actually kind of curious how it would pull over into Adidas, and I gotta say, I really don't think it pulled over that well. All that being said, though, nothing really changed except they decided to do the half and half, so they somehow physically made their uniforms look worse than they already are. So it was more of a lateral move if they could have possibly made any type of worse football.
I think that the Stadium Series upcoming will get a good look at perhaps something the team could use in the future. I think that between the Weagle and the 2015 Winter Classic jerseys, they have a good look at the two of them. But what Steve brought up regarding the template, it reminds me of the Windsor Spitfires when they were still using the CC template, but they wanted to copy the cut. And the sort of arm, sort of wing things went all the way. It just doesn't look good.
In my opinion, the ideal look for the Capitals, at least going off of what they've already used, would either be the 2015 Winter Classic jerseys, like something similar to that, or their throwback jerseys, like the original with the Weagle logo. But just speaking of this one, I've never hated their new updated script logo. I think it could be improved typographically. I don't know if I used the right word there, but the letter forms, I think that could be improved. But I've never, obviously the Weagle's better, but I've never hated that. It's always the jersey that I've never liked, and they pretty much made a lateral move aside from the collar, as mentioned, so not much else to say about this one.
The biggest thing that I noticed about the Capitals' new jersey here is look at how the striping comes up to the collar of the jersey. On the new Adidas jersey, it's much lower on the collar than where it was on the Reebok one. It's about maybe, I don't know how to measure it without having an actual jersey in front of me, and then of course with the shoulder patch moved further up. But just doing that, it makes it feel a little more rough, if you will, than the flow that the original one had, even though it wasn't a good jersey. So overall, I'd say it was a slight downgrade.
All right, next on our list is the Columbus Blue Jackets. Minor changes, mostly on the back of the jersey for Columbus. TC, thoughts on what you saw from the Jackets? Okay, sorry, it looks like TC died while we were recording.
I'm back.
Oh, TC, he resurrected himself, and he's good to go.
Come on, dude. We were trying to play it off. Why'd you have to come back?
Can't keep a good man down. The Blue Jackets, it's another one of those teams. They didn't change much, but I really wish they had. In and of itself, it's not a bad design. I'm just love the Canon logo and not the biggest fan of the current one. I understand that it's pretty, people from Ohio love their flag, and so they love the logo, but I don't know. I've never been a big fan of the logo. I think that the jersey itself is pretty boring with just the piping and nothing really else going on the jersey. And the stars on the sleeves kind of get lost in the shuffle, especially with the gloves and when you're moving around. So it's a lateral move, but it's a lateral move for a jersey I didn't really like in the first place.
Being someone who lived in Ohio and going to Columbus multiple times and speaking with Blue Jacket fans, I know that most of them are not too attached to this jersey design, and but they are attached to the logo itself. So, trying to figure out, I like how they took the alternate logo and turned it into the shoulder pad, and then how they also changed the numbering and the letterings on the back. I think that was a good improvement on their part, but otherwise, once again, they had a chance to improve on the design, and for all we know, they could just be delaying it, and just seeing how this one pans out, but who knows?
Of the teams, that use that template with Reebok, I thought they did it the best. It just needed a hem patch, or a hem stripe. Don't do a hem patch. Hem stripe on that jersey, it's fine. The logo type thing is kind of lateral. That Ohio flag works really well as a shoulder patch, but it's also not a bad, primary logo. So I'd go with I'd go with what they have now over something completely different. But people will make minor changes. But overall, they did a good job.
Now, I seem to have an unpopular opinion when it comes to their logos, because I'm a much bigger fan of the primary logo than the alternate. I think the alternate logo works just fine for their alternate jersey or a shoulder patch, even if it may be a little bit too detailed for a small shoulder patch, but I think it works okay for that. I don't think it's good enough to be a primary logo, so I think they did a good job not making it so. And other than that, it's pretty much the exact same design with a new font, and the font is an improvement. So overall, I think Columbus improved from the Reebok to Adidas switch.
Same thing with the Capitals jersey with regards to the where the piping meets the collar. Again, lateral movement. The one thing that I wasn't happy about at all was the change in the sock pattern. Yes, it matches the jersey better. However, at the same time, those sock stripes are extremely thin. And if they were maybe just a tad thicker like what the Dallas Stars had on their original Reebok jerseys, then I would not have a problem with that at all. But it's too thin for my liking.
Yeah, I completely forgot about the sock stripes. I completely agree.
One of only two teams, I think, maybe, that we saw minor sock changes from, them in Boston.
Well, major changes,
minor.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know if you consider that minor.
Well, I would consider major changes to other teams that we're going to get to who redid their jerseys. Anyways, we're moving on to next in the Metro Division, the the New York Islanders.
Soon to be Belmont Islanders.
The New York Islanders, go ahead, TC.
As much as I hate to say this, I have always been a fan of the Rangers jerseys. I love the blue and orange color scheme. It works well with the city of New York, and I think it just works well in general. They have pretty simple striping pattern, but I really like the extended cuffs that go up into the arm striping. And
Caller, this is Islanders talk.
Islanders talk.
You said Rangers jersey.
Oh, sorry. It must have been the fact that I actually gave them a compliment that I physically could not say Islanders.
It depends on how much alcohol you have.
But yeah, I will say the Islanders jersey, they didn't change much, and I think it's a good design. So with that, I'll bow out.
They didn't change much. I think they could do without the laces, honestly. But yeah, I've always liked the Islanders design that they've had here and everything. Unpopular opinion, I did like those numbers that they used when they were as the fisherman jersey. I'd like to see those come back in some aspect, but that's wishful thinking. So, but overall, didn't really change much. I just wish they would get rid of those laces because it just brings the jersey down, being how they are.
Yeah, the Islanders jerseys are fine as they are. I love the black. I can see Phil getting angry thinking about the black. But like in a small way, there's that blank stripe between the orange and
black.
I think if you put black in there, it'd look really good. Nah, they're fine. They didn't need to change. The straight stripes for the arms look a lot better than the curved ones.
Funny enough, I think if you actually did put the black in between those stripes, it might not look awful, but definitely not an improvement by any means. But onto their actual jerseys. They didn't change much, and I don't really think they needed to. There was no reason to. It's a solid set of jerseys. The colors are great, and one of two teams, I believe, to use blue and orange. I don't think any other team has blue or orange in the NHL. And the collar, of course, still hate it, but not much else to say about that one. Not much of a change. Oh, the road jerseys, I forgot. The blue outline on the logo, much better. Much, much better. Forgot about that. Other than that, they didn't change much, and they didn't need to. Good move.
I can finally say, after they unveiled a New Jersey, thank God nothing changed. And it's all good. We don't have to complain anymore. They finally brought out a New Jersey on a brand new template. So I got to give them credit where credit's due. The collar, the partial orange and blue collar is just stupid. Just make it solid orange. It's not that hard. And again, as we probably have gone over many times, the laces on this new Adidas template are stupid, so it's completely pointless. Just get rid of it. And then, of course, as Brennan mentioned, the white jersey finally has a nice blue outline around the logo. It looks so much better than the Reebok ones. So definite improvement.
Agreed. The blue outline does look better. Okay, now we're going to move on to the Pittsburgh Penguins. So if there's any Flyers fans out there who want to call in, lines are open. Here's your chance to roast the Penguins.
If anyone wants to nuke this franchise, too.
It looks like we don't have any callers, so let's just move on to TC.
Oh, darn.
TC, I think your mic's muted.
No.
Hold on.
Okay, my computer froze this time.
He's back!
So his computer's trying to kill him.
I gotta say, I like that they did not change much from where they were. I really like the throwback design. I was never a big fan of their original edge design, nor the switch to the Vegas gold. I'm a big fan of the more yellowish gold. And I think that there wasn't a lot to improve on, so they didn't need to, and I guess they agreed with me.
I'm glad they did not change anything. I remember these quite fondly as a child, so when they brought them back, it brought back childhood memories, and apparently the design brought back the success. So, that being said, the only thing that really bothers me is the fact that they decided to go with a two-tone collar. And that's kind of bothersome to me, so. But otherwise, yeah, didn't do much. But would I pay about $200 for an Adidas version? I'll have to wait and see.
The Penguins are a team that should never, change from what they have now unless they really have something good. I remember when that alternate came out, I was like, no, come on, do something new. But now I'm thinking, nah.
Yeah, as a Pens fan, I hate to say this, but I think we downgraded slightly only because of the collar. And one other thing I wish they would change is the hem striping on the black jersey, just to make it consistent with the arms and the way the white is. But that from a design standpoint, as a Pens fan, I think a lot of other Pens fans wouldn't really like that. And I'm fine with how it is now. And I don't think they changed much. They didn't need to. Classic design. I probably will buy it just because I'm a Pens fan.
Yeah, basically the same thing that Brendan said. There's number one, by the way, in your count. But yeah, the collar just needs to be solid. I hate all of these partial collars. It just looks bad. But other than that, clean look with a clean previous jersey.
Yeah, I think we'll cover the collars once we're done the Metro division here, but the collars are certainly detracting from almost every jersey. We move on to a team that tries their best not to change anything. The New York Rangers. Go ahead, TC.
Greatest jersey design of all time. I don't even know why stores stock any other jerseys. I will say I'm not the biggest fan of the big red, I guess it's a pentagon in the middle. I think that the blue collar with the red in the middle worked with the edge design for collars. But with the move, I would have liked to see something a little different. It just doesn't work well here. Maybe a red, white, and red like they had in the 90s, or even throw it back all the way back to the 20s and 30s and go with a white collar on the home jersey. As for the away, fantastic design. I've always loved the striping on the yoke. I about had a heart attack when they released the initial image of it. But then they came back and said it was a computer error and that the gray in the collar was not going to be there. So that was the only detractor I had for the away. Other than that, I'm really very content with this design.
I would have to agree with TC on this one. I think the only bad thing about this, honestly, is that, red spot. And it's not, you gotta take into fact, red is a color that you can see from a farther distance than any other color except yellow. So the fact that you're going to have a player have that on their collar, it's like a bullseye. And I'm not saying that someone's going to get hurt there. I'm just saying it's so noticeable. It's ugly. But otherwise, yeah, the Rangers decide to play it extremely safe like they've done their entire lifespan and keep the same design.
Yeah, I mean, it's an original 6 team. You'd hope they wouldn't change much. I always like the New York script on the blue jersey. A lot of people hate that. A lot of people like it. I don't know. Okay, but that's a lateral move. These look good. The gray, funny. I didn't actually particularly mind the gray per se. It was ugly, but it was just if that's the worst thing on your jersey with an Adidas thing, consider yourself lucky. But they managed to tell you that wasn't it. But I'm glad to see that they haven't changed much. If only we could get Lady Liberty back.
Yeah, I'll be the first one to agree that gray on a Rangers jersey makes no sense. But even considering the way they had it just on the collar, had it, even though they technically don't. It didn't look that bad. It wasn't that noticeable. If they really wanted it, I don't think it would have made too much of a difference. Just an odd, dumb inclusion. But another team overall that made no changes and should not have made any changes, except for that red pentagon. I think everybody here can agree. What are they doing with that? It doesn't make any sense. It looks so out of place. I don't need to go on anymore. We've covered that enough. Overall, didn't need to make any changes. Didn't do it. Good move.
Thank goodness that silver is not happening. Because otherwise that would have just... I wouldn't necessarily say cause an outrage. It almost did. But other than that, I mean, it's not really much to improve on with the Rangers jerseys. Even though I absolutely despise the Rangers, they have some of the most legendary jerseys in the league. So for them not to touch anything with that is the right move.
All right, great. New York Rangers. Phil, that's odd. I really thought more hatred would come out of your comments, but that's okay.
Well, don't worry. It'll come eventually.
We'll now move on to the Carolina Hurricanes, who added some black to their jersey in a move that was much appreciated by fans. We'll see how it is among HJC readers. Go ahead, TC, Carolina Hurricanes.
I think the Canes were one of the biggest improvements I saw with the move to the ADIZERO system. I love the return of the Hurricane flags in the striping, and the red-on-red sublimation instead of the black makes it a little more subtle, and I think really adds to the design. I like the addition of a little more black. It sort of makes it match the logo better. The logo is a more even balance of black and red, so I think the jersey reflecting that is good. I just wish that they had included the flag striping in the away jersey as well. It's a small detail, but it's something that I think could greatly improve the design.
I actually really like what the Hurricanes did here, how they kind of brought back an older design and basically added more black in. And they also brought back all the tongue-tied here. Screw it. It was subtly that they added in the Hurricane flags. So, otherwise, I was kind of disappointed more with their white jersey, that they didn't decide to add those in over to the white jersey. They just kept the same thing, but I really think that really won out on the red jersey so far. I mean, once again, minus the laces. So.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna buy that Carolina red jersey. Like, put me down for pre-order. You know, like it's gorgeous. I love it. It's the best jersey to come out of this. The white, I love the white jersey with, you know, I mean, obviously compared to their old red jersey, but I like it as it is. But yeah, it's kind of like the Minnesota of the Edge jerseys, where it's like they don't match, and you can like one and like the other, but they will never go together. And I don't want Carolina to turn into that.
I mean, if you were saying Carolina doesn't go together, I disagree, because they pretty much have the exact same design on each jersey, just switched colors around, except for the full cuff and the full hem coloring on the road jersey. But as a lot of other people said, I think that Carolina is probably the second best improvement of the night, just by adding some uniqueness back to their jerseys. I still wish they'd put the Hurricane flag striping on the road jersey the same way as has been said before. And the black is a big upgrade, so that way they don't look like Maple Leafs jerseys in red. I mean, I hate people accusing other teams of that, but that's really what it looked like. But yeah, Carolina's one of the biggest upgrades of the night, if you ask me. Solid look. I might buy one too if I have enough money to spare.
It's absolutely beautiful what they did with the red jersey. I mean, a lot of people complain about the idea of black for black's sake, but here, because black is such an integral part of the color scheme with the logo, having a larger amount of black on the jersey makes so much more sense than the previous Reebok look. And the sublimated flags are absolutely gorgeous. I wish they could have done that for the away jersey, but you know what? They already improved their home jersey to where it should be, so I'm not going to complain too much.
Excellent. All right, so the biggest change coming out of the Metro Division might be the next team, the New Jersey Devils. And they were on full feature at the NHL Draft with the first overall pick. TC, get us started with the New Jersey Devils.
Burn it, take the ashes, put them in a trunk, bury it underground, and encase it in cement and never speak of it again. It is an atrociously bad bastardization of a New Jersey Devils jersey. I had a friend who was a Devils fan on Twitter post some infographic about how it takes from the history of New Jersey and all its hockey clubs. Fantastic. It's still a very bad-looking jersey. Like, you can have all the history in the world you want, but if it's a bad-looking jersey, it's not going to impress anyone. And I don't know. I just think it's the biggest downgrade of the entire Adidas ADIZERO system.
Yeah, funny thing. I was actually talking with one of the guys at Rebirth, and we were trying to decide who had a worse downgrade. Was it the Jersey Devils, or was it the Nashville Predators? And me and him were tied. I say, personally, it was the Devils. I mean, they had a great classic look. You know, there was... Literally, I thought there was no way you could screw up the Devils' design unless you went modern. And no, they somehow figured out how to make a terrible Dark Devils jersey. So, whoever did that, congratulations. You have done the impossible. So, otherwise, the white jersey looks fine to me.
I like them.
Are you serious? Are you serious?
Yes. Now I'm going to preface this with something.
Okay.
I liked the Devils jerseys 10 years ago. I liked them 5 years ago. But that period in the team's history is done. It's sort of like those jerseys. Like, who do you think of in those jerseys? You think Brodeur, Kovalchuk, Stevens, Niedermeyer. You don't think Corey Schneider. You don't think, Smith Pelly. You don't think Mike Camilleri. And I think that they did need a new look. And I get that they are one of the untouchable teams in the NHL jersey world, but I think that everybody has an untouchable team that they think can change. And New Jersey was that for me. These aren't great, but they're not as bad as everybody's making them out to be, I think. And I get why people don't like them. If you loved those Devils jerseys, these are awful. But I didn't love those Devils jerseys. I thought they were plain. I thought it was time for them to go.
You're wrong.
Yeah, I'm on the... I agree. I'm on the flip side of that.
Wrong.
I'm on the flip side. I liked the Devils jersey before, and I don't necessarily mind them changing, but what they changed to is just awful. I don't know if any other of you have seen it, or any of you readers, or listeners, I should say, but there was a picture circulating of a Devils hoodie from the NHL shop that literally looked like this Devils jersey with a hood on it. And I just can't get the image out of my head of a long sleeve shirt when I see this jersey. And I don't mind the striping at all. So whoever's talking, go ahead, I guess.
Yeah, but you nailed it.
Yeah, I don't mind the striping, but I think if they had hem stripes, it would be just fine. Because the striping doesn't look bad at all. It's just thicker versions of their last design. Everything else is pretty much the same. Just add hem stripes. That's all they need to do.
Yeah.
Other than that, it looks like a long sleeve shirt to me. I'm sorry.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, how dare you not say that the Devils changing their jersey to this is not considered sacrilegious, Jets? I mean, dude. They've had this design during their glory eras. Obviously, they're having troubles. When you think of like the whole Mickey Mouse part of the Devils, it's the red and green. So, as cool as that kind of looks, I'm glad they decided to stay with the red and black. But I mean, without a hem stripe here, and with the striping as obnoxiously thick as it is here, I can't rate this one well at all.
All right, good stuff there. That wraps up the Metro Division and the Eastern Conference. We'll be right back. We'll start on the Western Conference with such teams as Vegas Golden Knights, Colorado Avalanche, and Nashville Predators coming up. We'll be right back.
Voting is your American right and responsibility. Wait, you're Canadian? Voting is your Canadian right and responsibility. Either way, vote for the concept of the week here at HJC. Every week there's a new vote on the right-hand side of the page in a black box. Just click the concept you wish to vote for, and boom, you're all done. Results posted every Saturday at 4:30 with Ryan's weekly recap here at HJC.
Welcome back, and here we go with our Pacific Division recap of the new Adidas jerseys. We're starting off with the Vancouver Canucks. TC, tell us what you saw from the Canucks.
I saw a whole lot of nothing in the terms of change. They stuck with the design that they've been using for a while now. Personally, I've never been a big fan of the Orca logo. I think it's pretty self-serving for the Orca ownership group, and now that they're not even the owners anymore, well, they've changed their names, same owners, it doesn't even make sense. And on top of it, the Vancouver text over the logo just seems like something that belongs more on a college hockey team than a professional team.
Yeah, they really didn't do a whole lot, and I kind of agree with that text. That text does get a little annoying. While it is kind of a shout-out back to the Western Hockey League team, I mean, they didn't do anything. They could have just gotten rid of Vancouver, and it really would have been an improvement. But otherwise, there's really nothing to talk about.
They're gross. I don't like these. I'm sorry. I don't like these jerseys. Like, of all the teams that needed a change, I think Vancouver was not the most obvious, but the one that I think needed it the most. Because every team, aside from Ottawa, I thought that every team that needed to make a change would make a change. Yeah, Vancouver didn't, and I don't know why. They have at least 2 other logos that'll work perfectly as a primary logo. They could at least get their jerseys matching. You know, there are little things between the home and the away in terms of color balancing that really bother me with those jerseys. And just to keep that terrible Vancouver thing with the Orca, which would be fine on an alternate, but we've seen it now for almost 10 years. Go with the Johnny Canuck if you want that Vancouver thing above it. Don't use that Orca logo with the same. It's a mess.
I'm one of the few that actually don't mind the Orca logo. Now, I don't like the script text. I can agree with that one. But I'm glad they at least changed the font to match everything else, even if I'm not a fan of the font. But I don't mind the Orca logo. I think there are better options, but I don't mind the Orca logo. And I absolutely hate the skating Johnny Canuck. I think it looks too much like a cartoon. I just saw Phil astonished by that. I just think it looks too much like a cartoon. I think the newer, simpler version is a lot better than the original one that they used whenever that was, before pre-NHL. But I just think that one looks too cartoonish. I think the stick and rink would be better here, but overall, I don't love these jerseys. I don't hate them. I think they work fine. I think sticker stripes would do this, it would really improve it, but I think as it is, it's okay. I still hate the half and half collar. But overall, not bad, not great.
Yeah, there's no improvement. I went that way because I think Johnny Canuck is one of the better logos that they have, especially the Canuck head with over the V. But
now, see, I don't mind that one. I just don't like the full body one.
The full body. That's all right. But regardless, I mean, there's no improvement. The Vancouver word mark needs to go. And, other than that, nothing really to complain about besides the collar. But, we complain about every collar, so.
That we do. Indeed we do. Next up, 0 changes from what I saw except for the collar. The Arizona Coyotes. I almost called them the Arizona Cardinals. That's not right. The Arizona Coyotes. Go ahead, TC.
What sport is that?
Foosball. I have to say, Arizona Cardinals might have been a better name for what this jersey looks like. I'm still perplexed by their decision to include all of this black in their jersey design, considering it's such a minimal part of their logo. I think if they'd incorporated the sand color better, it would have been a much more distinct and a cleaner look. On top of that, I'm not going to talk about the whole mismatched collar thing. And honestly, I've never been a big fan of the A-Paw shoulder patch. But not a lot of changes, but nothing really to wow me.
I've never really been a fan of this design to begin with, simply because of that just giant black spot that they have on the sleeves. Just once again, it makes no sense. But, I mean, I was curious if it would work, but just, I don't know. It doesn't seem to work, but what I do like is what they did on the inside of their color, and I wish they would have brought elements of that on the outside of the jersey. It's like they went in complete, I don't know, like turtle mode, like, oh, let's do something really sweet on the inside, and then let's just do something total crap on the outside.
I don't know. These Arizona jerseys grew on me. They are a little, basic in terms of striping, and it would be nice to get that Kachina pattern going back. At least, sublimated into the hem or something similar to what the Hurricanes do. They're not totally insalvageable, and they were better than the previous ones. The Coyotes have always been a team that, at least in the past 10, 15 years, that they need one or two changes to make their jerseys good. They missed a hem stripe on the edge jerseys, and these ones, they're just missing a little detail.
Yeah, I agree. I think these jerseys grew on me from whenever I originally saw them. I still don't think they're great. I think the black on the shoulders does look a bit odd. It looks a little bit better on the white jersey just because it kind of blends in with the red, if that makes any sense. It just doesn't look as out of place. It doesn't. I don't know how to explain this. I hope you guys understand. I can't find the words for it. I hope you guys understand. But the black just looks less out of place on the road jersey, and I think they could do much better, but they didn't do much of anything going from Reebok to Adidas, so I wouldn't really consider them a loser or anything, except for that collar. Still sucks.
Again, no major changes. Maybe, well, obviously they added a third fake lace there for no reason. And then you continue that awesome inside the collar pattern on the new jerseys. But, nothing really to complain about. Maybe make the upper arm panel red, or the brick color red, or whatever they colored term they use for this. But and do that for the white jerseys. But other than that, nothing really to complain about.
All right, the LA Kings. Not many changes here. Let's lump in the Kings and the Ducks when you're talking about this. Go ahead, TC. Kings and Ducks. Not too many changes here.
Kings and Ducks. Two Southern California teams that I wish would go back to their old identities. I do not like the home plate logo for the Kings. I do not like the webbed D for the Ducks, nor do I like the orange and gold color scheme. Nothing really changed about these jerseys. LA, for what it is, translated well. It didn't need a lot to change to work on this template. The Ducks, again, works well for what it is, but still don't like them.
So, I'm going to say I don't really need to talk about LA. Just because it looks pretty similar and it actually worked out really well on this. Although for the Ducks, I will say they were going so much better than everything when they had the orange alternate, using the Mighty Duck logo. I was perfectly fine with it being recolored into their modern colors. It actually turned out to look somewhat nice. And now they had to get rid of it. It was just like, it's like a gut punch, because it's like you're taking one step backwards. But other than that, sorry, I was going to let you go, Jess.
Yeah, both these teams are infuriating to see because they needed such simple changes. LA's home jersey needs a hem stripe, and they've needed it for 5 or 6 years now. And Anaheim needs to get rid of that phantom yoke. And those were simple changes that could have been done, and they weren't. But, for what it's worth, they don't look bad. I think one thing that really holds back LA jerseys are the lack of shoulder patches. They had that awesome LA logo that really looked good on their Stadium Series jersey. That would be great. You could even put the crown on its own on there. They're not unsalvageable jerseys. It's just that with this change, you'd think that someone would just say, okay, let's just make one small change. But they didn't.
It's like they're almost there, but they're not completely there.
Now, if I was going to say my ideal looks for the two teams, I think LA should go back and actually add color like yellow and purple. And the Ducks probably should keep similar colors but drop the gold. But if we're talking about just these jerseys, I think I completely agree that minor changes could have made these much better by adding a hemstrike or removing the, did I say hemstrike? A hemstripe and removing the phantom yoke. But I think just Anaheim's jerseys in general, the striping is way too busy. If you remove that top orange, the thin orange one, and maybe make the other one solid white instead of white and gold, I think you have a solid look. But for what they are, minor improvements could have made them a lot better than they are right now. And the collars still suck. I'm going to say that for just about all of them. The collars still suck.
See, the thing about the LA Kings jerseys is because of that sleeve piping, it kind of helps with the fact that there's no hem stripe on the black jersey, so much so that they could probably pull it off on either one. So the biggest issue is that they don't match. If they don't have a hem stripe, don't have one on both. If they have a hem stripe, have it on both. Not one or the other. Same thing about the piping coming down lower on the collar. That's just a template thing. And for the Ducks, no changes. And you know what? They're rocking that orange yoke outline and the black yoke on top of it. It doesn't look awful, so I'm not going to complain too much about it.
I disagree.
Well,
Go ahead.
It's your opinion.
Thanks for chiming in there, Brendan. I'm going to put you down for a disagree. Very good. All right.
Okay. Duly noted. Next.
Brendan disagrees. All right. Staying in California, we got the San Jose Sharks. And let's throw in the Calgary Flames at the same time. Go ahead.
I'm going to go ahead and say San Jose did a great job of moving over to the ADIZERO template. They had a fairly simplistic jersey with no hem stripe, and it's basic, but it works for them. They used some ridiculous reason, like they wanted the players to have less bulk on their jerseys, but you know, it's a very simple design, and I think they actually pulled off the collars, especially on the away jersey, one of the better teams to pull off a collar on this ADIZERO. Although I will say the teal laces in the collar have always bothered me and still do.
I also do like that they add the new alternate logos to the shoulders. And the fact that they use the same designer that they've used for the past how many years, that's awesome. But yeah, their design is kind of like an anomaly to me because it's so basic, but yet it works, and it just pulled over really well with Adidas. And as for the Flames, the only thing that's really redeeming is the fact that they de-italicized their numbers and got rid of that random piping. Otherwise, God, why did they have to stick with that? Why? Moving on.
You know, I think everything that has been said today is right, but with Calgary, it was two simple changes. No more piping and get rid of the flag patches, and they did one of them. A 50% is a D, okay, and an F, and depending on where you are. You know, that's, like, not only did they keep the flag patches, despite having the sort of Mountain Sea Wheatfield logo from the alternate that looks fantastic, but their new captaincy looks like something someone would use for coding. Like if you've seen the NHL shop ads, the captaincy looks like a key on your keyboard. When you see it, you'll know the one.
With San Jose, I think before they switched to this design, like the Reebok Edge, their original Reebok Edge jerseys were much too busy with hem stripes, arm stripes, and a yoke. And I think they toned it down a little too much. I think if they add hem stripes to this, they're golden. Other than that, I mean, I could deal with going back to the original Sharks jerseys with the new logo just fine. but overall, the Sharks don't have much to comment on. Collar still sucks. Calgary, I would lump them into a winner, yet a disappointment from my earlier categories. Again, the collar still sucks. And the flag patches, I don't know why they're keeping those. I don't think anybody does. But removing the piping is a plus for sure. And yeah, not much else to say about them.
So with San Jose, they did a great job in adding the Los Tiburones logo on as a shoulder patch. In fact, I think I wouldn't be upset if they changed that into a primary logo sometime soon. The jerseys, again, not much change, but I'm also kind of glad that they decided to not bring back the front numbers from a couple years ago. Calgary was a big disappointment because they have the same exact because of the fact that they have the same exact striping pattern as the previous ones, just minus the piping. Like, the piping was bad, but removing the piping made the jerseys look even worse because of the fact that the side panels are there and the hem trim as well. Like, just give us what we're asking for and go either full retro or like 90s style with the white C with minimal black. How hard is that?
Yeah, TC hopping back in, I forgot to talk about Calgary. I've never been a big fan of the black in their color scheme. As a resident of Atlanta, I would like to see them return to their original color scheme from back when they were the Flames. That being said, I think the fact that they kept it so minimal on the away jerseys is a positive, and that's about all I have for them.
All right, excellent. The next two teams we have in the Pacific made some pretty big changes, so we'll do them individually. We got the Edmonton Oilers. Why don't you hop back in, TC?
The Oilers, I was kind of disappointed, to be honest. I was really excited. I liked their orange jerseys from last season. I'm not a big fan of the switch back to the navy like they had in the 90s. I think the royal blue was a really good look for them. And the move to the thinner striping was just the wrong move in my mind. I don't like this striping pattern, and I think they would have done much better to keep it the way it was.
I'm gonna have to disagree with you on the blue there. I do like that they brought in navy blue, but I think the fact that they made the orange brighter helps it. As for the striping, though, the striping on the sleeves and hem is kind of lackluster now, in my opinion. I really would have liked them to keep the thick stripe with the two accents, but I mean, it is. I wouldn't call it lateral. I'd call it like a slight improvement, but not like a great improvement.
I think we all got our hopes up that the current alternate would be their home with, a couple changes here and there with regards to number placement. But these look fake. These look like a bad fake you'd find on eBay. And that really bothers me is that this striping is so poorly done with the colors. And it's so thin. It looks like something you'd find on eBay for $40.
Yeah, I think I do like the navy blue, and I don't think the royal blue would have looked bad, but with an orange primary, I'm completely okay with navy blue. I'm not a big fan of dark navy blue as a primary jersey because it looks just too much like black, and I think that just looks boring a lot of the times, but as a secondary color, I have no problem with it, and I think it would have looked so much better if, as everybody else has mentioned, they just kept the old alternates design. That way the white's blocking off the blue from the orange, because that middle stripe especially just looks so wrong. I feel violated by it. It just looks so wrong. And I saw a mock-up on Twitter of taking the old alternate and putting it into the navy blue. It looks great. So I don't really know what the Oilers are doing with those arm and hem stripes, but the navy blue is okay with me. And look at the collar. It's not that bad.
I mean, so just to bounce off what what you were saying there. Why not extend the blue all the way to the whites and just make it one full stripe connected to the other two directly? Why separate the stripes? I mean, yes, it was the look on the previous main set, but it looked better on the original alternates. So just go that route. The navy blue I have no issue with. It kind of separates themselves from the Islanders as well. Creates their own identity in terms of the orange and blue.
All right, good stuff. Now we come to the newest team in the NHL, the Vegas Golden Knights. Completely new, so it's not like we can go back and say, oh, missed their old jerseys. Completely new from scratch. Lots of details here to talk about. So, TC, go ahead. Vegas Golden Knights.
I think the Knights killed it. For it being their first venture, they did a great job. I think they did have a bit of an advantage, being that they never had a previous jersey. So it's not like other teams trying to adapt their existing jersey to the new template. They were working from ground zero here. And I really like that they went with the slate gray instead of a black. I think there are too many black jerseys in the NHL as it is. I really like the detailing that they put in the arm stripes and the logo. I know you're probably not going to see it on the ice, but I think it's one of those things that really gives them a distinct identity. And I think they did a great job overall.
Yeah, I like it. I like how they add the little accents within the logo and the gold trim of the sleeves, and just the design overall. It's basically meant for the Adidas jersey itself. So I think they hit a home run with it. And I'm not trying to be any punnier there being it's baseball season, just saying.
What?
These jerseys are a real double play, you know?
Oh.
Yeah? Okay, pun time.
These are great.
All right, I'm telling you, how many puns can you make, Sean? Let's see.
These jerseys are great. If I were to bet on how good a Vegas jersey was, I'd put all my chips in on them not being particularly great. But you know what? I bet against the house, and I won. I thought these were going to be great, and they were. You know.
What are the odds of that happening?
In all seriousness, these are great. Fleury's going to look great wearing them. I think I'm going to probably end up getting the white one. They're great for a team that, has no jersey history aside from the, can we get the Las Vegas Wranglers jerseys to throw back? No. They're my team.
Just no.
I'll agree with you that Fleury's going to look great in these jerseys. I think he looks better in Penguins jerseys, but, But
no, what?
I think these jerseys are much better than a lot of people were expecting. And the only thing that I would really change about it is maybe remove the red arm stripes. I don't seem as bothered by that as some other people do. Or actually just add it to the hem, and that would both make it consistent and it wouldn't look so out of place. And the white jerseys just look just as fine. And I agree from an earlier comment that using the gray instead of black is a good choice, a unique choice, so that way everybody's not black pretty much. And the collar still sucks, but considering the gray and black don't contrast too much, it's not as bad as a lot of the other ones.
So, with Vegas, it was kind of interesting to see what they would do. I kind of figured they would go a route similar to that just based on looking at the draft leak, but they did a great job. I guarantee you that extra trim, by the way, and the extra flare that they have in the logo and striping doesn't appear on the replica jerseys, but other than that, they just nailed it.
Yeah, I agree. Vegas nailed it. That's our Pacific Division wrap-up. We'll be right back and finish it up with the Central Division.
You're listening to the HJC Podcast with Brian Haslett, Sean Bruce, Phil Beck, Brendan Poe, T.C. Moore, Steve Markulitis, and William Butala.
Welcome back to the HJC Podcast. This is the final division, the Central Division. And for this division, all of the writers are wearing funny hats. So here we go. Starting off with the Nashville Predators. TC, go ahead. Let us know what you thought about the Nashville Predators and their Adidas jerseys.
Oh, it's so bad. For those of you who saw my post on Friday, you'll see the the Fanatics edition. But it's just never did I think that I would miss the edge piping and that little saber tooth. But without it, it's just a boring jersey. From the wrist up, there's nothing going on. It's just solid yellow. And I understand that Nashville's trying to rock the yellow, but there's just too much of it here.
Yeah, I agree with that. At first, when I first saw the previews to where they got rid of the blue on the back, I thought it was going to be better because I didn't really like the blue on the back, but now they got rid of everything. It's just so plain towards the top. It's you just have yellow and then you have a tiny little strip of white. It just defies the contrast color. So, I mean, yeah, they really screwed this jersey up.
I don't want to waste my words on this jersey. It's a jersey. They will wear it at home games. Sorry to have.
And they'll wear a white one on away days.
They will wear a white version on the road. And worst of all, it was the first jersey everybody saw. And that's the worst part, is that, everybody's sitting around waiting for the first leak, and it's that.
At least we got the bad news, and then we got the good news to lighten that up.
Yeah, St. Louis came right after, and I mean...
Now, with Nashville, I don't hate the overdose of yellow, but I think as everybody else has said, it's way too plain. The hem striping and the arm striping is just... why? Like, if they added one more, even a thin blue stripe on top, that would look much better. If they thickened the white stripe, I think that would look so much better. It just looks way too plain as it is, although they got the collar right, or at least mostly right. And the collar insert, or not the collar insert, the hanger effect, the piano on the inside, still looks as good as it ever did, even though nobody's going to see it.
So right now I'm working on a concept that takes the existing Predators Adidas jersey and just adds just a slight amount of blue around the striping area and then a little bit of yoke trim without having an actual yoke. And it looks so much better than what we got from Nashville. I don't want to swear here, but it's like a half you-know-what kind of effort.
Yeah, absolutely. Nashville just missed the mark as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. And not only that, but I was able to censor myself better than Steven does.
Yeah, Steven needs a goal horn. Phil can handle himself.
Yeah, you
I'll just
promised
give it to you.
that goal horn.
Maybe this time. Swear some more, Steve.
Don't.
I'm not swear for it.
Just don't. It's not appropriate. All right. Next up is the Chicago Blackhawks, who tried their best not to change anything, but of course the Adidas collars forced them to. Go ahead, TC, Chicago Blackhawks.
Honestly, there was not a lot of change, as we know, and I don't really mind their jersey. Again, same thing as the Rangers. I'm not a big fan of the big red Pentagon breaking up the white collar. I think it probably would have done better to just go with the white on the home jersey. The away jersey, the exact opposite problem. I probably would have gone with the red to match the red collar, but other than that, there's nothing really wrong with them compared to what they usually wear.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with TC on this one. Other than the fact that blue jersey that they came out with, that Chicago arch down the chest, and that really fancy looking letters and the numbers, with that really, really dark blue collar. I mean, it actually really pulled well together on the Adidas jersey. So, what do you think, Sean?
They remind me a lot of what you'll find in the NHL Shop alumni game section from the Stadium Series between Chicago and Minnesota. Like they're okay, but I think that if everyone's going to buy a Chicago Blackhawks jersey that doesn't have one already, they're going to pick up an Edge one.
Now, I think the Hawks jerseys, they didn't need changed. They didn't change much. That was a good move. The collars aren't too bad on this case. So, there's not much to complain about. There's not really much to talk about either. Except the new green alternates. I really like those ones. Like, they took the color of the feather. They decided to make that a new alternate. I really like that.
So, with these jerseys, it's the best they could make out of the Adidas collars. So, good for them for not changing anything, not doing anything stupid, and making the best out of a bad situation with the collars.
Absolutely. And another team, let's go 2 teams that really didn't change much. You know what? Let's go 3 teams that really didn't change much. This is a grouping of St. Louis, Dallas, and Winnipeg. 3 teams. Go ahead, TC.
St. Louis, the best part about their jersey is the inside collar, which no one will ever see, so nothing else to really cover that. Dallas, no real difference from what they were wearing before. Again, collars are atrocious. And what was the third team we were supposed to cover?
Winnipeg. The Jets.
Winnipeg. Ugh. Same thing, different template. Yeah, haven't really liked their designs since they left Atlanta.
It's the same song and dance for all 3 of these people, so I really don't see the need to harp on it more than TC already did, so.
You're wrong. Winnipeg is beautiful, and I don't want to hear another word about it.
It
St.
sucks.
Louis made one change, and it was white numbers.
No, I'm just kidding. It does.
Looks, St. Louis made one change, and it looked good. White numbers look better. And then Dallas, their jerseys are kind of soured for me. Like, I just don't like that they don't match in the weirdest way. But yeah, Winnipeg looks great. The template doesn't do the jersey justice. I think that as the NHL's best small franchise, I think they represent themselves well.
Now, I've never loved Winnipeg's jerseys. I've never really hated them either. I think they could do better, but overall, it's not too bad. The Pentagon doesn't look great, but other than that, nothing to complain about, but nothing much to talk about. And same with Dallas, but the Pentagon blends in a little bit better. And I think they could do better as well, but they didn't change much of anything, so nothing to talk about, nothing to really complain about. And I can pretty much say the same thing about St. Louis, and except I think the white numbers do look better. I might have to see it in game to truly judge, but from what I've seen, I like the white numbers better. The hanger effect is amazing, but again, nobody else is going to see it aside from the players or the fans. Nobody's going to see it in action, let's put it that way, because anybody can see it any other time. As one thing I wish St. Louis would do, though, is put a thin blue stripe in the shoulder yoke in between the white and the yellow, just to match the hem and the arm. That's all I wish they would do.
So, the best thing about this system swap was that a lot of teams didn't change designs, which for Dallas, Winnipeg, and St. Louis, outside of St. Louis's number change, it was a good thing. I do have to agree that St. Louis's jerseys do look better with the white numbers. But, again, the collars. That's all I can complain about with them.
All right, good. Good to hammer out those 3 teams. Minimal changes there. Next up, big hit from most people. of the Adidas changeover, the Colorado Avalanche. Go ahead, TC. Let us know what you think about the Colorado Avalanche.
Biggest win of the Adidas crossover. I love the move back to the mountain piping. It reminds me of my childhood and watching the Avalanche play back with Joe Sakic. I know a lot of people aren't a big fan of his, but, you know, back when he was playing, he was the man. And honestly, it's nostalgia for me, and that's why I'm just going to stick with saying it's the best move.
Nostalgia overload indeed, my friend. I saw these, and my pocketbook, as the old folks say, or as we Americans like to say, wallet, came out, and my card came out and started doing a song and dance for me to buy. So, nevertheless, I had to put it back in my wallet to stop. But no, I really like the fact that they went back to these, because it was an utter crime what Reebok did to their identity once they went to there, and I have been waiting for this day for a very long time, so now that it's here, just let me bask in its glory.
You know, second best improvement over Carolina. They look great. I mean, what else can be said? I just wish there was more blue, on the white jersey. I've never been a fan of the black numbers, but yeah.
Obviously, Colorado, huge upgrade, but then again, that's not too hard to do, considering their old jerseys. I don't really think I need to go much further on that. And a return to the mountain, piping, striping, whatever you want to call it, is probably the right move. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of different ideas that would look good, but for the nostalgia factor alone, bringing back the mountain striping was a great move. The only thing that I wish they would have done is added an extra blue outline on the road jerseys piping, because the gray kind of blends into the white, and it's kind of depleted of the blue on the road jersey. But other than that, solid look.
Personally, I think Colorado's road jersey is the best of the two Avalanche jerseys because of the fact that the mountain striping looks so clear cut on the jerseys. And the funny thing is, when I saw the leaks, I saw how the silver piping underneath the back of the yoke changed angles as it left the area with the Adidas logo on it. And I was like, oh, please tell me they're bringing back the mountain striping. And what do you know? They're back. It's awesome. Let's go. Everything about Colorado is going to be great except for anything on ice.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes. But at least
they'll
look
they're
good.
If we get 50 points this year, Coach is going to buy us ice cream.
All right, another big hit from the Adidas jerseys, our final jersey here, the Minnesota Wild. Go ahead, TC.
Minnesota Wild was in contention for the best jersey of the Adidas system for me, but you know what? The more I look at it, the less I like it. I think my biggest problem is the fact that the chest stripe doesn't go to the back, and it doesn't include the small red stripe, so it's mismatched with the arms. And again, the big red pentagon doesn't really do it for me. The away ones, pretty much unchanged, except for the red pentagon. So I liked that old design, so I think it's good that they stuck with it.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely like that they went to a green jersey, and I do like the hem stripe. They really do use the cream well with it, and it works overall. It's that red stripe within the cream on the sleeves and it not going over to the chest that bothers me. I guess just because of lack of consistency. But that, or if they were at least maybe put that red stripe above or below the stripes on the shoulders, then I wouldn't be as bothered by it. And also just the red on the collar. But in this case, the laces don't even bother me that much. on this jersey. So, I mean, I think they did really good.
The green jersey had me going wild.
Oh. So, thanks for listening to the HJC podcast, everyone. Thank you for listening. We'll see you next time.
With the pun.
It's all I can say. They're great. Like, they really, it'd just be nice if they had a matching away jersey for once.
They used to. The first ones they had, but I agree. I think they could really use a matching set. But the green jersey over all the home jersey, because the other one wasn't green, it's a huge improvement. And I think the chest stripe would look a little bit better if they added that red stripe just to match everything. If you haven't learned by now, I kind of like consistency between the elements on a hockey jersey. And the collar looks a little bit odd with the red, but not too big of a gripe. Minnesota, I think, improved greatly, but I still wish they could have something consistent between the home and away jersey.
So with Minnesota, I was slightly disappointed that they decided to keep their existing away jersey, but it wasn't the worst thing in the world, especially considering the brand new jersey that has the chest stripe. It's kind of odd to see the chest stripe not match the actual striping on the arms. So, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say it was the best one overall, but it was definitely an improvement over the red garbage that we got from Reebok.
All right, excellent stuff there, everyone. Right now, we're quickly going to go over our biggest winners and losers from the Adidas switchover. We'll choose one biggest winner, one biggest loser. For me, the biggest winner, I've covered this on my Saturday post, was the Vegas Golden Knights. I think they had the advantage of not having any history, and so they were able to fit their jersey perfectly to the Adidas template. Biggest loser for me is definitely Nashville. They had such a great jersey, and now it just looks like a yellow raincoat with some blue on it. TC, biggest winner, biggest loser.
Biggest winner for me is the Colorado Avalanche. I love the return to the mountain striping, and I'm going to second your choice of Nashville as the biggest loser. It's just way too bland and way too generic. It looks like one of the random T-shirts you would get at Walmart.
I'm going to say biggest winner, Colorado Avalanche, going back to the original design. Biggest loser, I'm going to have to agree with Nashville. Way too plain.
Biggest winner, Carolina. They're rocking it like a hurricane. And,
Boo!
and as for Nashville, they're going to be singing the blues.
That's a serious joke.
Now, I think the biggest winner is Colorado. And I would say Minnesota because they have some great jerseys, or now they do, but Colorado had utter crap before this, and now they have what some consider a classic. And the biggest loser, I'm going to have to disagree with all you guys and say New Jersey because I think they had a classic before, and now they need a New Jersey. But Nashville is a very close second.
Yeah. Okay. Am I going to be the only one who doesn't review with a pun here? So, biggest winner.
Review with a pun.
No, that's true. So, thankfully, biggest winner here has to be the Carolina Hurricanes because you take the original jersey that they had, change it up a little bit, dump the gray, and modernize the flag striping on the hem and make it look so good. As for biggest loser, I would have to say the New Jersey Devils because, as I said, it was sacrilegious to change what they had, and they absolutely ruined everything.
Phil, I cannot believe you don't like our puns.
That's That's
Phil,
it.
don't you find these
I'm
puns riveting?
putting in my. Oh, shut up. I'm putting in my 2 weeks for an HJC. I'm not writing anymore. Goodbye.
All right,
No,
good stuff.
all right.
Poor Phil comes home from work and we're doing puns.
Sounds about right.
Well, that was really fun, everyone. Thank you for joining us.
Oh,
Thank you.
you guys are the worst.
Well, if you enjoyed this podcast, leave some comments on any of the posts coming up this week. We had a lot of fun doing it. For TC, Steve, Jets, Brendan, and Phil, this is Ryan. Thanks for joining us on this HJC podcast. Here we go. 3.
Go, right?
Not during the countdown. God. 3. Fuck. All right. Here we go.
Where do we go?
Pacific Division. Here we go. 3,
Got it.
2. What did I tell you about talking during the countdown?
God damn it, dude.
Keep that in the recording.
You have one job.